Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to PCP Movie Night. It's the show where we watch a movie and then we discuss it live here with you every Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. And tonight we're talking about the PCP Army Movie Poll Audience Choice winner. That's right. We are now starting the Crew's Choice section of the year. By the way, I am your host, Rockin Robbie Bills, but we're in the middle of, or we're starting Crew's Choice, I should say. And the first member who gets a voice is you. So y'all picked 10 movies. Everybody voted. And in a majority, like a crazy landslide, Dredd wins. Dredd from 2012, the Carl Urban one, written by Alex Garland, not the one with Sylvester Stallone. So we're going to keep that one in mind tonight. But we're talking about Dredd, and we got to have a great panel to talk about this maybe great movie. We're going to get into it. You let us know what you are thinking as well. We got Brooks in the house. What is up, my man?
What's up?
Sup?
We're in the deep end now.
We're in the deep. We're in the deep end. Dude, there's so many quotes in this movie that I still use today. Like every time somebody brings in some comics at the shop, I'll be honest with you, most of the time I got to be like, I don't need any of these. And I just go, let's go give them the good news. I love it. Speaking of good news, it's our man, Missing Link, Steph. What is up, my bro?
What's up, fellas? Glad to be here. Talk about this maybe awesome movie.
Now, you were the one, right, who nominated this.
I was waiting. I was waiting. I remember in the chat you said, all right, guys, as soon as I started, throw your movies down, the first 10 movies I see, I was the first person. I was just waiting on this shit, bro. I had it typed in, just ready to hit send. So luckily, it paid off.
It was It was the most voted on poll that we've ever had in the PCP Army, right? And it won over 64% of the vote. Like, it was staggering. And that's between 10 movies. I was the only one who voted for Little Big Man, by the way. Dredd won overwhelmingly. All right. Now we got to bring in the final member of our panel tonight. It's the one, the only Judge Delaney. How you doing, bro?
I am the law. I am the law. Oh wait, we're doing that, Judge Dredd, right?
Eventually, we're going to do that. Like,
that'll be an interesting comparison to like watch them back to back and like compare them.
Good contrast there.
I don't know if that's the right way to watch either of these movies.
Yeah.
I think they both need to be very distant from each other. That's what I think. Delaney, thank you for being here, bro.
Yeah, no problem, man.
And thank you, everybody out there in the chat. We always appreciate it. We would not do this show. Actually, we would still do this show even if you weren't here, but we really do appreciate that you're here. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Let's see. Ariaga is going to kick us off. He says, I really didn't like this movie. I'm here to defend the honor of Rocky IV. Last week, I couldn't stay for the second half of the show. 3.5 you digs. You have got to be kidding. 10 you digs. Okay. Fair enough. So I remember when Dredd first came out, we were excited. Carl Urban, we already knew him, right? Because of he was in Lord of the Rings, he was in Star Trek, right?
Yep.
And none of us really like that Judge Dredd movie from the 90s. Not really. I mean, maybe Delaney has some nostalgia for it.
No, it's trash.
Yeah,
Rob Schneider might be the worst thing about that movie.
But I had, because I was into the comic book career of creators like Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon, Carlos Esquerra, and I was interested in seeing where, you hear this stuff like, oh, you like their Preacher and Punisher and Hellblazer? You should check out their stuff in 2000 AD. What's 2000 AD? Well, that's Judge Dredd. Oh, I've never read any of that stuff. And at the time, Titan Books was doing these really nice, like big Treasury side trade paperback collections. At Wizard World 2002, we met Carlos Esquerra, co-creator of Judge Dredd. Do you remember that, Delaney?
I do.
Yeah. So
he was doing Just a Pilgrim, I think.
He was doing Just a Pilgrim at the time. We met him along with Phil Noto, Jimmy Palmiotti, and Amanda Connor. So yeah. So anyway, enough weird stretching and name dropping. I was familiar with Dredd, and I really liked those books. And I picked up some of the other stuff with like John Wagner, who was like, I think, the co-creator as well as Carlos. And I was familiar with the character, and I was very excited at the potential to give us a Dredd movie that was more like the Dredd comic. And I do think that they delivered that. Now, when I first watched this film back in 2012, I watched it in 3D in the theater. It was amazing. It was amazing. I have never seen this movie since for some reason, like at all. And I've heard people at the time, most people that like, I remember loving this movie. And then over time, like it wasn't successful, right?
Yeah.
And then over time, it just kind of faded away. And it's got a cult following now, but it's not really what one would call a big hit. I actually think the Sylvester Stallone one did better. I don't know, but I haven't seen it since 2012. I watched it now over 10 years later. And I'll be honest with you, I tried watching it earlier in the week and I found it hard to get into it because it kept doing the slow-mo stuff. And I'm like, this is nice, but this was better in 3D. Now it's kind of annoying because I'm like, just get this shit going, right? But then I sat down Sunday morning and I watched it and I truly enjoyed it again. Like, I think it's a very fantastic film. I do think it's a little slow to start. And it's crazy to say that because it starts with a pretty awesome, like, action scene with Judge Dredd, but then it just kind of takes a moment to really get rolling into what the gist of the movie is with the whole going up into the mega block or whatever, right? And aside from that, the movie still holds up. The slow-mo stuff is heaviest in the beginning, and then it goes on through. And if you're under certain, say, herbal substances, it's pretty cool with the music and the lights and the slow-mo and everything like that, right? In fact, I remember the 3D. That's why this movie worked in 3D, was because of those scenes in particular. But on the rewatch, I liked it. I think it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like just an hour and a half, pretty much. It's gorgeously shot. It's a low-budget, independent film, y'all, is what it is. And Carl Urban slays his performance in this movie.
So good.
Absolutely kills it. Never has to take off the mask. Has this just presence that is palpable in this film. I love it. I love the style of it. The CG, they actually did pretty well, and it holds up for what it is. It fits in this certain place of like early 2000s to like the 2010s where CG was getting cheaper. And so like people were like doing way too much. And it's like, it's in that era, but I don't feel like they did too much. We're going to be talking about a movie next week that's kind of in a similar vein with the way some of the CG looks. But I think a lot of it holds up because they're shooting it. And are they in Johannesburg? Like they're in South Africa, right? They're filming it. So they're just adding in these big mega towers and all that stuff. And it looks amazing. And even the actual like big high rise, the mega block that they're in, like it has a character and a vibe and a flow and a feel. And that's just a set of 3 floors that they used over and over and over again at different angles. And I think like when you have like Alex Garland was the writer of this movie, passionate about this project, about this character. So was the director. So when you have passion and a respect for the subject material, and then at the same time you have a lower budget, but you're trying to do something bigger in scope, you have to get creative. This movie's creative, and I like it. And it could have been bigger and more sprawling, like the Sylvester Stallone one. Could have had Judge Death in it, which was the original idea. But I like the idea that Alex Garland took of saying, you know what? Let's introduce everybody to the world. Let's do a day in the life. A day in the life of Judge Dredd. What a perfect way to do it than training a new rookie. Hellboy did this exact same trick. Anderson is our view from the audience, right? So overall, I'll just say I really liked it. Really liked it on the rewatch. Held up for me, even without the 3D. What about you, Brooks? What's your history? What do you think overall?
Yeah, I didn't see this one in the theater. I remember seeing it on Netflix, and like I loved it. Like it's like it's a Judge Dredd movie. It feels like they actually took the source material and made it into a movie. I thought Carl Urban was great. I love the way he does like the frown. He does the fucking exaggerated Judge Dredd frown. Because like Judge Dredd has this frown. It's like the Joker smile. It's like an exaggerated frown. And he does it throughout most of the movie. Like he never has to take the helmet off, which is a kind of a staple of the comics as well. And I can see how the slow-mo stuff would be kind of off-putting, but it makes sense, it does make me kind of wish like I could see this movie in 3D, because I love the way, like, especially when she's like in the bathtub and she does the hand thing and the water droplets are all in the air. I'm like, man, I bet that would look really good in 3D. But I mean,
It
still, it's
was.
still enjoyable, I think. Like even without that, like it's a cool effect regardless.
That was a great part in 3D. I remember my favorite 3D moment being when they bust in on the drug dealers and they just start shooting them and like everybody's skin's like flapping and blood's going. I remember just
the
being
impact where dude's like,
you didn't see
the
that
dude with a
kind of stuff
shotgun,
in
yeah.
2012 at that time. This was like you'd see it on like directed DVD Dimension Extreme video. We were watching Mother of Tears, we were watching shit like that, right? But you didn't see this kind of shit in theaters so much at the time. It has that vibe and feel of like a horror film almost in a way where it's like balls to the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
So like I love the grittiness of this movie too. Like it actually makes you feel like this. It gets the setting down like perfectly, I think, and it gets the setting, the characters. Like it feels like a Judge Dredd story put on film.
Absolutely. And of course, a lot of comparisons to The Raid. The Raid came out right before this movie, but this movie was being worked on before The Raid had come out. So it's just one of those kind of things.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was almost like, I feel like The Raid came out in 2011, even though it probably took years. This was years in the making. They probably started work on this like 09, 08, somewhere around then. But it's just very crazy how, because that happens sometimes. Like there'll be like thematics going on. Like I believe in like even in different mediums, like in comics, when Blackest Night was going on, X-Men had some zombies, necrotia stuff going on. Even though the X-Men stuff was a little bit more probably.
Swamp Thing and Man Thing were created right around the same time.
Yeah. So it's I was questioning. I was like, were they inspired by The Raid? Because the themes are super similar, bro. My bad. I need to
No, you're fine. I still have never seen The Raid, but I hear it's really, really good. It's been on PCP polls. It's been on PCP polls, man. But I'm just saying.
What? I ain't never seen Raid 2.
Army. We gotta see. Yes. Bat Boy and Hammer Girl.
Yes.
All right, Steph. So it's your turn anyway, bro. What do you think about this movie overall? Obviously, you have some affection for it because this was your pick.
I love this movie. I did see this in theaters because I had seen The Raid earlier in the year in 2012. I didn't get to see that in theaters, but I was blown away by that. So when I saw the trailer for Dredd, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm in for this. I've always loved Carl Urban. Think he's an underrated talent. I know not many people love it, but he was great in Doom. That's supposed to be a rock movie, but I think Carl Urban really shone in that. He just knows how to switch shit up. Like, but no, this movie was like it was just badass. Like the concept of it could easily, under like different caretakers or creatives, come off very cheesy. But it's like they took this very seriously, and I don't know. There's like a level of talent that just really went into like just making everything seem so lived in. Like I could just easily see this concept being a cheesy sci-fi movie on like the Sci-Fi Channel, but you can tell like a lot of love and respect went into making this feel palpable, I guess. But yeah, it just great. Like you said earlier, it's hour and 30, doesn't overstay its welcome. Just kind of it's a little slow at the beginning, but for the most part, it just gets in and gets out. Like it's just another day in the life of Judge Dredd, and I think
drug bust.
It is a really good script. I mean, we'll get into the style and the structure of everything, but like Alex Garland, right? Like he at this time is working on Sunshine, I think, which is one that like is underappreciated, right?
Agreed.
So I think you guys recently did that on Scarpad Show, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice. We need to do that here one time. We need to have a Danny Boyle love fest or something. Maybe that's a cool idea for a show. Instead of franchise review, a director review. We'd have to pick a director who's not Scorsese or Scott, where it's like 30 movies or 20 movies, but somebody like maybe like Tarantino we could do, right? We could do Christopher Nolan, right? You know, these are Danny Boyle's probably one we could do. Then we'd have to watch Millions.
Millions is not bad, but we wouldn't have to. It's a different Danny Boyle film.
Hell yeah. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about this film overall? Not Millions.
Well, I haven't watched Millions, nor do I feel like I'd be inclined to do so. Um, I love Dredd. I absolutely love it. It's like one of those movies where you can't put it down. Like you gotta watch it. It's one of those things where I suggest everybody watch it at least once. And it's its source material, and the fact that they're like nailing it with just source material of how gritty and dark Mega City 1 is, the fact that they're in this nuclear holocaust and these mega buildings from Boston to Washington D.C. is a huge city that just covered with just crime and nonsense, and all we have left is to protect us as judges. It's such a great concept, and the fact that they were able to put it on film so simplistically, it's put on there so well. The cast is absolutely fantastic. I can't remember the music for some reason, so you might have to miss me with that. But it looks great. It absolutely it slaps. I don't understand. Carl Urban nailed Dredd. You do see him without his helmet at the very beginning when he puts it on. When he puts it on, it's over. You don't see his face, you just see his hair, like in the shadow of him. But he's putting the outfit on, getting ready for work. And like the second he puts it on, he's Dredd. And he's trying to get like Judge Anderson, like he's like, you probably need to wear your helmet. It was like bullets. Oh yeah, you got to keep your helmet on, to protect you. She's like, well, that makes my head hurt when I try to like do my psychic
powers.
It's like powers.
Like a bullet would interfere with them more.
Yeah, it was like a bullet would affect it more, and oh my god, it's fantastic. The lines in this are perfect. Lena Headey is fantastic in this. She plays an epic villain like she always does.
Mama.
The 3D is amazing. I'm kind of mad. I saw, and you're right, Robbie. This is the first time I've seen this since I saw it in the theater. And I saw it without the 3D, and of course, and it looks weird because 3D is supposed to be in these shots. But I remember what the 3D was when I was watching those parts, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
Well, one thing I do like about it is
very clean.
Unlike other 3D films, even though we know like the slow-mo scenes were designed specifically for that, at least there's no shots where everybody's doing this all the time. You know, like you watch Friday the 13th Part 3 in 2D, and everybody's just like, blam, and you're like, what's up with that?
Why are you doing that? Yeah. But it's very intentional 3D. And like if you did watch it in 3D, you know that this is where it's supposed to be. Like,
and it was filmed in 3D. Mm-hmm. It wasn't converted like a lot of other things.
Not
where
at
it
all.
was filmed in 3D.
That's key.
And you can tell. And you can tell. And like, I don't know, man. I remember we watched this in the theater. I was blown away. We talked about it, and we were like, I think our main conversation about this was, we don't think it will do well. Commercially. I think that was one of our main topics.
It wasn't the Avengers. That's the same year as the Avengers, right? 2012.
Was this like August or September? So Avengers was still riding high too.
Yeah. And it was just one of those movies where like we were like, not many people are going to go see this because it's like ultra violent. It's rated R. Not that many people know Dr. Dredd or Dr. Dredd.
I'm starting to recollect now, Delaney. I think we were there with the old RCC crew.
Yeah.
Maybe I think Chris,
2012.
Wallace was there, right?
Wallace was probably there.
I have this image in my head of him being like, "I'll dare to say it. This was better than Avengers."
Yeah, he did say that. Yes, he probably. Yeah.
Just Dredd's the best comic book movie ever.
It's the kind of conversations we would have had. Like, and we were talking about it, and then the weekend ended because we watched it when it came out. It was like that Thursday or something like that, but it came out through the weekend and it like bombed. And we were all like, dang, it was so good though. And like every time somebody would mention Dredd afterwards, I'd be like, you gotta watch this film. I hate people didn't watch this. So I really love this movie.
It's a crime, honestly.
It is a damn crime. It's a damn shame that not many people saw this movie. It's absolutely fantastic.
If you are watching this and you still haven't seen it and you have Hulu, it's available there. That's where I watched it. It's on Hulu.
I had to pay on Comcast to watch it. because someone doesn't have Hulu anymore.
I do have Hulu. I watched it on Hulu, bruh. I have Hulu.
Yeah.
Your account's still on my Hulu. It says I have to pick between me and you. I don't know what to tell you. Just sign in again, and they'll probably send me whatever. We'll talk about this later. So I think I want to buy it now because it's something I want to own.
I bought it.
And this is one I would like. If I ever saw it again out, like in the store, I'd definitely pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've already mentioned some of the cast. We talked about Carl Urban. You were talking about what's her name, Lena Headey, right?
Yeah.
Great cast, great characters. Let's highlight some. Brooks, you get the envious task because I'm being gracious tonight, right?
I like that.
I'm being
Wow.
un-mama. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
You get to go first, Brooks. What's a performance / character / performance you want to highlight?
Well, my favorite performance in the movie was Mama. Like she's like I've seen the actress Lena Headey. I think she's great in like everything that I've seen her in. Like obviously Game of Thrones was one, and she was in 300 as well. But this is my favorite role that I've seen her in. Like the menace that she exudes in this movie is like fucking crazy, man. Like I love this. Like whenever she's with the dude that has the computer
Remember the
eyes.
Titans? Oh, yeah.
She's just looking
General
at him,
Hux.
and he's just like sweating, and he's like.
He's also the
Like, I
Weasley
love
twins,
that.
right?
All she's doing is just looking at him.
Who's
giving him that look? And then later on, when she's like holding the knife in his belly, he's like she's not even like trying to be menacing. She's just like playing around, kind of. It seems like.
Did you notice that, Brooks? Though that
Domhnall
dude
Gleeson
is General Hux?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
That's
That's
Domhnall
Domhnall.
Gleeson.
Oh my! I
really?
just kept looking familiar.
he's the
Jeez.
Weasley twins, right?
Yeah.
He's George and whatever the fuck.
He's
and
the other one died. Yes.
Wow.
Interesting.
I love
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
character is interesting too, man. But
Yeah.
you're right, dude, she nails this role because she comes across with a sense of menace, been there, done that. And even though she's not necessarily a physical threat, she is a threat in multitude with her control over
It's
this
like the
entire
control
movie.
she has over these guys.
Yeah.
Like they ride or die for her, and they're just as terrified of her as like as her enemies are.
Absolutely.
Oh, that scene where the gun, she gets the guns out and she has to shoot the gun herself when she's like mowing down that block. It's like, damn.
I don't know
And
how
they,
Going for a Judge Dredd movie.
I don't know how none of those three people got clipped during that, right? They're just in the
Everybody
perfect
else.
spot, like the very last spot that's going to fucking go before he realizes, let's go through the wall. Anyway, what about you, Steph? What's a performance / character you want to highlight?
I'm gonna go with the computer dude, Domhnall Gleeson. There's something very interesting about his role. I just really like how he acted too, because he felt that, like I felt him, like I would be in the same situation, like when he's like,
Knife on your belly.
yeah, just ready to like a velociraptor, bro. Like, oh my! But he was, I don't know. There was, for as small as his role was, there was something interesting about him. You could tell he was just under the gun. Like he just seemed stressed out the entire fucking time you saw him. Understandably, his life was quick to be forfeit for any reason.
And it's
But-
almost a subtle approach to it, right? Like at
Yeah,
the end,
yep.
you do the whole thing where Anderson like reads his mind and kind of just lays it out. But up until that point, you get the idea. Oh, she took out his eyes, replaced them with the these fake eyes, and this dude is so scared of her, and his eyes look like they're rejecting the transplants, and so his eyes
Yep.
are all red and raw, or maybe just they're red and raw because he's got mechanical eyes. And dude, what a cool character, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's fucked up.
It's,
She was, but yeah, Mama's a good pick though. She was, like you said, she had a commanding presence. But an easy one would be Carl Urban, because I respect the fact that a lot of these actors we know like to have a certain amount of screen time where their face is seen. You gotta respect an actor who can go the full role and not have his face be seen once. Like,
Carmen's like, I
wish
can
they're more
get
like
this
that.
part of my face. No problem.
right?
Even
But
goddamn
yeah.
Pascal can pull that shit off infinitely, right?
yeah.
What about you, Jelani? What's a performance you want to highlight?
Yeah, I'm taking Carl Urban since nobody else did. I mean, he's awesome. He's Judge Dredd. His presence in the entire film. I mean, the whole film is about him anyway, about his life and how he's training this new judge in the world, and I would have picked her as well, Judge Anderson. But I love Carl Urban in this. He's so like, not only is he by the book, but he is Judge Dredd. Like, he is grim, he is imposing. He's just one of those characters that like gets out there and does his job. Like,
but there's subtlety to his role as well, because you know he comes off as someone who's just about the book, but like when those kids were pointing the gun at him, he could have easily just killed them, bro. But he set his gun to stun. Like, you know, he's a tough love type of guy.
And he passed her. So he passed Judge Anderson. So I mean,
I love the scene when Anderson's like talking about how hard it's going to be to carry the hostage. When he's like, "So what do you say, rookie? Should we cut him loose?"
Cut him loose. Yeah, he's so like, you know what? He reminds me if Brooks frowned all the time. That's what he did. Like, he was always frowning. I was like, yeah. But yeah, it's just, he's so grim. And it's so cool to watch Carl Urban like play this role to a T. He had it nailed. And I just I like all the characters in this film. It's just everybody played their part well. And it's so short, sweet, and to the point, to where you get that there's a crime happening, and you get that he's the guy that's there to solve it, and he will go by any means to take care of it. And you know, I like the third option is we're just gonna go up to Mama's penthouse and kill her, you know. And I love how like one of them was just, we're gonna run and hide until they get the blast doors open, and he was like, nah, son. We're gonna go kill her.
I like she's like, shouldn't we wait for reinforcements? Yeah. He doesn't say anything. She's like, wrong answer, huh, sir?
Wrong answer. Yeah, he's just oh God. Yeah, and like you said before, the way he commits to the bit, where he keeps that helmet on. You don't see his face. Yeah, he's not Stallone. Stallone was just like, helmet?
Stallone gets rid of the helmet 10 minutes into the movie and then puts it on one more time.
Yeah. Without the full costume on. And I'm like, man, dude, come on, man. Come on. Why are you ruining?
We definitely got to do Judge Dredd at some point. But you're right. Carl Urban embodied that role. And we also got to give mad props to, they not only have to film this in 3D, they got to figure out how to make that helmet look good. And they always chose the right angle. And you can tell how stiff he had to be, because he was like, don't turn your head, bro, because then that helmet's going to look doofy if you pull this, you know. I want to highlight Wood Harris as K, the henchman who gets captured and has to like run along with them. If you guys remember the Titans. Off the Rim, remember the Titans, and I profoundly remember him in Southland Tales, because he's the dude who has to set up murder. He's like with the fake nose and the buck teeth, and he's like, "Oh, you bitch! Oh, I'm so mad!" Like, I don't know, that always cracks me up. So it's cool to see him in this role, and he has this coolness about him, but also an element of threat. Speaking of threat, this film feels threatening with its style and its structure. This movie is stylistic as fuck. It's almost like stylized over the structure, but it's actually a well-structured three acts, right? Like, you get the beginning of the Day of Dread, the setup with Anderson, who Anderson also, she does a great job in the film, right? The setup with Anderson, the setup with the drug, everything is very meticulously put there. There's not wasted space. Alex Garland is a hell of a screenwriter, and it is proven even in something like Dredd, which is a very simple, on the surface story that is basically the plot of a video game, right? Yeah. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. And nothing is wasted. Everything is there to set up perfectly the next scene and the character's arc and what's going on. So I think it's meticulously crafted, but so much of the style too is visual, and the visuals are amazing. This, for a movie, Judge Dredd, and Judge Dredd, it's color, right? In 2000 AD, it's one of the ones that's colored, right? So what's crazy is most filmmakers would take the idea of Judge Dredd, and to them that would mean a very bleak, very bleak color theme and scale, right? Color palette, right? So they don't do that. This movie is very vibrant in its colors, very rich and the saturation and at times oversaturation of those colors. It is perfectly edited for the most part, except for maybe just a little bit at the very beginning where it just kind of hits maybe one small speed bump building into everything. But aside from that, visually stunning, very tight in the script, edited very well, put together very well, and the special effects, visual or practical, CG or practical, they rock. I think they rock all the way through. What do you think about the style and structure, Brooks?
Well, I like the way this movie's style, because like you said, it does have vibrant colors, but it's also got that kind of scuffed look to it. Like everything's
acid wash, you will.
Yeah, everything's dirty, but it's not like
everything's
gray,
weathered and worn and gritty and grimy and slimy, but it still feels like a comic book.
Yeah,
right.
I love the opening scene shot where you see what the mega cities look like. You see all the towers, you see how like compacted and like and crazy, like mega highways, mega blocks, mega city. It's like they just nail the setting so good in this movie. They nail the setting, like they nail the characters, like everything about this movie is just so good to me. Like this is like what an action movie should be.
Hell yes.
And the fact that it's got that Judge Dredd, and they actually did it right. Like the fact that this movie didn't get a sequel is like a crime. Somebody should be like in prison for this movie not having a sequel. But
didn't make no money, man. Didn't make no money.
Cult following's got to count for something, man.
We tried.
Bullshit, though.
We tried, man. We tried. I watched it in the theater the day it came out, man. I tried. I should have watched it twice.
Let's all start buying the Blu-ray DVDs of this shit.
Yeah.
Get some interest surging.
It's like we buy crates of Blu-ray.
Dredd.
One of them, when they said, it was like, oh shit, it's Judge Dredd.
Oh, yeah, I'm the law.
He's making a Judge Dredd 2.
God. Oh, that would be a nightmare.
What about you, Steph? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
Oh, I absolutely love it. Like you said, it's almost like it is more style over substance in this movie. But like I said, that ties into could easily be a cheesy sci-fi tale, but there's some substance there. It's an insult. I think the structure is perfect for the most part, especially considering this is an action movie. Most action movies don't have this level of quality exuding throughout the entire thing of it. The music, I don't really usually pay attention to the music, but I did for this one. I think the music is super fitting.
We'll get to the music in the next bit.
Oh, music. Okay, I'll save it.
Yeah,
but no,
let's just save those music thoughts since Jelani doesn't remember the music. So,
but no, like Brooks said, why can't every action movie be like this? Have this much care, and quality put into it? I mean, probably because the box office numbers don't show, but it's fantastic, just start to finish.
I don't remember necessarily how the movie was marketed. I already am going to watch this movie because it's Dredd, right?
Right.
But I was watching Oliver Harper did a nice 30-minute video about it, and I love his work. And he was talking about that the movie was kind of weirdly marketed and didn't really seem to have the support of the American marketplace, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's this worry because Judge Dredd is basically a satire of America, right?
Right.
And like the greed and corporatism and the police and all that, and law enforcement and all this kind of stuff. So, but through the lens of that Thatcher era, right? So like it's a really, some of my favorite fiction is from British writers writing about America, but through the lens of Thatcher England. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's something
Thatcher's just like British Reagan, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You had two different things going on. And I mean, it brought so many great things, hip hop, punk, all this kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of good stuff to unpack there. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
This is a perfectly styled movie. It gets you in there. It tells an excellent story. And on top of the story with it, it gives you this gritty, lived-in city that's just, every bit of it is just a facet of what these people go through. Like the horrors of living in like a post-apocalyptic world. It nails it, and for such a small scale and such a small budget of what you're doing, and the fact you made it the damn raid, it's amazing. Like you have pretty much captured what Judge Dredd is in a comic book. And I hadn't read that much Judge Dredd. I'd read a few issues of the 2000 AD things, but from what I saw, from what I read, is basically this. It is just as gritty, and the fact that we don't have more comic book movies that can stick to the source material, and tell a story without actually giving us like a major story out of the books.
It's just another day in the life.
A day in the life, a snapshot of
one thing that happened here that I can't remember happening except for maybe with Robert Rodriguez and Sin City, which was more to a more involved degree. But Alex Garland would send his script to John Wagner, the co-creator of Judge Dredd, and he would rework the dialogue. In particular,
wow.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's that meticulous, and there's so much love in it. You can tell that there's so much love. My favorite shots, of course, are the 3D shots, but I love the one where Lena Headey is falling.
That's my favorite shot. You see Dredd standing there, bro.
Dredd standing there, pushing her through the glass.
When her face hits the thing, and then like you see it from the blood.
From the ground, and the blood splatters everywhere, and the fall. The fall is fantastic. The glass that goes with it. I remember this in 3D.
And do you remember the music with it, Jelani, where it's like very ethereal and just
Well, you get the slow-mo. Basically, she's getting what she gave at the beginning, where she killed and skinned those 3 men, and they gave them slow-mo and then threw them off the side.
Think about that pattern in the structure, right? She throws the dudes off in the beginning.
Yep.
Dredd throws her dude off in the middle.
Yep.
And then he throws her off at the end.
Yeah, they all deserved it. Yep. It just felt like it.
Even
it
the 3 guys?
It's like poetry.
Yes, they deserved it too, guys. You don't try to take over somebody else's turf. You know not in peach trees, you know?
Yo.
No.
Wait, that was the name of the place, right? It was Peach Trees.
Yeah, Peach Trees.
Yeah.
So this is Atlanta. Is what they're trying to say. This is Atlanta.
But I mean, it's a city-sized building, so yeah, it's an entire city
wild.
run by a crime lord,
and that's straight from the comics. You know, the mega cities, the mega cities, and all that.
Yeah, you had to live that high up, and it's such a dangerous place. Like it's its own nosebleed, and elevators must take hours to get down. I mean, it must be like I wouldn't want to live there. If I lived there, it'd be like the first, second floor, because our fuse would be higher.
You know what this also has?
You're not throwing me off.
You know another movie that this has some similarity to?
What?
New Jack City.
True.
With the way that the drug dealers bought that entire apartment building, right? Yeah,
they take it over like that. It also reminds me of The Raid. Did you know that?
I've heard about that. I've heard
times. Yeah, you should probably watch that movie.
Well, there's a Moon Knight issue by Declan Shalvey and Warren Ellis that does the same thing too, and it's awesome as well. So
police officers get trapped in a building and they have to fight their way out.
Well, Moon Knight does. He has to get up. It's like it's video game, man. Mario did this shit in part 2 because that was the vertical one, right?
Yeah, it's vertical. Yeah. But yeah, it's great structure.
Doki, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Perfectly structured.
Doki Doki Panic.
Okay. I just had it with Doki Doki Panic. All right. The music is done by Paul Leonard Morgan, who doesn't have too many credits. And I'm looking at his credits and I'm seeing that he did the music in Walking with Dinosaurs. Now, I thought this was the... Oh, I thought that this was the Discovery Channel documentary. It's not. Apparently, it's a 2013 family film about dinosaurs set in the late Cretaceous period, 70 million years ago. The production features computer-animated dinosaurs in live-action settings with John Leguizamo, Justin Long, and more others. Okay, that sounds stupid. I don't know anything else that he did, really. So, anyway, I like the music in this film. I like it a lot. It's experimental. It's doing something that's typical of its time, but also not so typical. So it's got that kind of like industrial driving feel. Stuff like that, right? But then, especially when you get to the slow-mo bits, it has this very like ethereal. It's almost like you're listening to meditation music, right? And apparently, what he did there is he would record things in a different style than the other compositions, slow it down to like 1/1000th of it, and get these weird like tones, and then record something to loop over that, and then create these things. Does it stand out thematic? Like there's not a single theme that ties everything together. There's not something musically there, like as a composition to be like, this is a really great composition that is integral to the story, but it does provide to me an atmosphere, and it makes this movie one of those movies between the colors, the music, the slow-mo, you get stoned. This is a movie to watch. You're going to love it, you know? So I like the music. Did you have any thoughts on the music, Brooks?
Oh yeah, I love the music in this movie, man. I love that heavy electronic stuff. I think it fits really good. I've had that song that
he says he was majorly influenced by Carpenter, even so far as he was recording some of this stuff on synthesizers from the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, wow. I watched this movie 2 times, and both times I went through. I let the credits roll just so I could listen to the songs at the end. And I especially love the song when the Crooked Judge Gang is, doing their ride out to peach trees, and it's like it just fits. It fits perfectly the mood of this movie, I think.
This movie was a good setup for next week. I'll tell you what, because like some of the musical notes and some of the visual effects notes, and I'm really excited for next week, everybody. But Dredd was the perfect stepping stone. What about you, Steph? You had some thoughts on the music. I'd like to hear them.
Yeah. I mean, you guys generally say it our best, but yeah, I thought the movie fit perfectly well. Like it sets the vibe, or the not only with the visuals, but it sets the feel of the world. Like Brooks said, when the Dredds are riding in, it's got that edge to it, and with the slow-mo, it's always like this very trance, like meditation music, you said, and it gives that feeling. So yeah, I can't add too much more than you guys, but I think it does its job, and does its job well, especially for a guy who he hasn't really worked on much. And like specifically the slow-mo moments, I know Garland and Boyle work with like Brian Eno a lot. And he's very big on that type of music. So it gave me like vibes of him. So I think that was a job well done on the composer's part.
Hell yeah. What about you, Jelani? Do you have any recollections now?
All I can remember is the original, I can remember the original Judge Dredd music.
Alan Silvestri.
Oh, that's why it was good. It was good. I remember Judge Dredd movie. I don't remember anything about this music. I'm sorry. It was very muted.
Y'all just wait, because you just wait till the day we do the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd, and Jelani's like, this movie sucks. Why are we doing this movie? I refuse.
I want to watch it. I'm going to watch that. I won't watch any Fast.
I kind of want to watch it now. Like, to be honest,
yeah.
We've been watching a lot of Sylvester Stallone stuff. We went through all the Rocky films. For goodness sake, we did Stop or My Mom Will Shoot before we did Judge Dredd, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Was that the one where they were eating rat burgers?
Yes.
Judge Dredd.
Rat burgers and Judge Dredd. Yeah. No. That was Demolition Man.
Yeah, that's Demolition Man
with Wesley Snipes. Okay.
We've done, but that's a great movie.
Yeah.
But we still got Over the Top looming out there as well.
Yeah.
All right. We love pop culture, but we also love philosophizing about it. We are the pop culture philosophers. So Brooks, to you, what is Dredd about? What's it saying to you? What's it speaking about the universe and the meaning of everything?
Well, like an overarching theme in this movie, which is like why I think this movie really works as a judgment, is the effects of all this violence on like the normal people. Like, how in the beginning when Anderson's talking to him and he's like, why do you want to be a judge? And she's like, to help people. And like, he's talking about, he's kind of talking about how the neighborhood is bad. She's like, I grew up in a neighborhood like this. I know there's good people here who just want to, to lead good lives. And like, I think we should be helping them. And, the people, like the normal people in this movie, they just get like totally fucked. It's like, like they're caught between these extreme law enforcement agents who like, Dredd is like a paragon, he's like the best version of like a really bad thing, like this extremely authoritarian kind of like law enforcement agency.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a necessary evil in a way,
Mhm.
but it's like, at the same time, like you get the crooked gang, and it's like, this is why this kind of thing doesn't work, because you get just like 4 crooked judges, and like an entire like block of people are just fucked, because like these 4 judges make it so like everybody turns a blind eye to all this crime and shit. And like even when a good judge like Dredd and Anderson, show up, like it turns into a fucking bloodbath, and these dudes just get like fucking like a whole block just, or like a whole section just gets completely annihilated. And like the poor dude who's like running the medical agency, who's like,
Man,
he calls up the crooked judge, like, I'll testify. He just gets blown away too. It's, this kind of like society is like, these people like don't have opportunities, which is why, you get these kind of crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And like the idea that, these strict law enforcement kind of agencies is the solution to that is like, I think like not entirely correct. Like, I think, there does have to be like, in this kind of situation, when you have like people that are criminals like Mama and these other gangs like the Judged and all these other things, like, you do need like a strong law enforcement agency, but you also need like compassion,
yeah.
you need to like address like the underlying problems to why, all this crime exists. It's like, why is these drugs so popular? It's like
Despair.
why is crime so profitable for these people?
Absolutely, man. You're straight up there. What about you, Steph? What were you pulling from this movie? What's Dredd about to you?
At the balance for law and order. The in a situation like the world that Dredd is, it'd be easy to kind of just give in when the violence is rampant and gangs kind of rule over everything. But there needs to be a line drawn, or people stand up, to make that division in the sand. I'll go with that.
Yeah, all right. That sounds good. What about you, Jelani? What do you think? What's it speaking to you?
Don't fuck with Judge Dredd for any reason, because he'll kill you or probably put you in a cryo tank for 3 years or something. He is. This world is extreme, and he is the extreme of it. Just as Brooks said, and it's very true that these people are collateral damage in a war that probably was started by this law enforcement to the point where it was crippling people to that point where they need drugs to get their minds off of it, and why it is so profitable, and why it is doing what it's doing. It's a systemic society. It's so ingrained in them that they have to do this. I mean, there was an apocalypse, and
Right.
this is what people did to survive, to the point where they had to go to these extremes. That's why they're judges now instead of just police officers, judges, all these things. All these things needed to happen because you just can't be light-handed with people at this level, because
Right.
it's probably going on for decades, where this is just systemic. It just happens that way. And yeah, the blast door guy is a prime example. He's a homeless dude. He'll debase himself for money, and like he just stands in he just sits in the blast door asking for money, and then but Judge Dredd warns him. He's like, if you don't come back, I'll put you in this cryo chamber.
I doubt Dredd was concerned about his safety of getting smashed by a blast door, to be fair.
Yeah, he was
Just following the law.
Follow the law. But he comes back and he's like, "What did I tell you? I told you I would put you in jail." So he's like just arrested a guy that may or may not have killed 3 people, and he's about to take him away. But then he still remembers the law to arrest this homeless dude.
Dude,
Well,
I
he gave him
remember-
a chance too. He's like,
I remember the first time we watched this. That shit cracked me up because he's like, because the flow of that scene was perfect because it's just moving, the camera's moving, they're walking, and he's like, "All right, I told you, get up, you're coming with us."
Get
and
up, you're coming with me. Boom, and it's just done. But all of these things pretty much point out how this world is. This is the new world. This is how it is, and you either have to be this extreme to get your point across, because you are they have judges now. They're the judge, jury, and executioner. They have to do it in this way because there's too many people to police. And which, by the way, always, as I always say, fuck the police. They're a waste of time and effort. But especially in large instances like this. But they're also there to stop the unchecked crime of what Mama is doing, and how the fact she has taken over an entire, basically a city.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has taken a city under as hostage, and no one up to this point has done anything about it. So, still great movie. Has a lot of things that you can think about. There's a lot of just sadness that's in this, and the way that Mama's made. She's a prostitute or a sex worker, and her pimp slices her face up so she bites his dick off. It's the way, it's the extremes.
Yeah,
it goes to the extremes in every level. So I think it's just the extremities that these people are willing to take, and it's basically their survival during this period of time. So that's what I think of the movie.
Absolutely.
Well said.
You have all basically touched on it, right? And it's all there, right? But the movie I love about this movie is that it's there in the setting, it's there in the world, it's there in the characters. This movie doesn't go out of its way to dumb down its theme to you and make sure that oh, here we go. Like the closest they get, and it's actually a very profound and nuanced moment in the movie, is when they are in the apartment of that woman. And she's like, she's going to let us know how to get out of here because she just wants her husband safe. And then when Anderson finds out that that gets you. If I had to put it in one little line, though, I would say this movie is about misplaced faith in a system of justice, which is flawed and broken, right? And it's not achieving its goal.
This is our result.
So it's a commentary on society. So what that means is this: everything you guys talked about, poverty, how crime and poverty are related, how crime and poverty and despair and misery and depression are related to drug use, which continue that cycle where Mama is able to grip this entire mega block because of the production of this one drug that's just taking everybody out of it for a moment. The looking for escape from what? This terrible world. There's environmental disaster. There's nuclear disaster, right? There is a very oppressive police force out there, but also a police force stretched so thin that its own officers give up hope, right? And join the system. This is Gotham times a million. Do you know what I'm saying? And the police force, the judges, they're stretched thin. Don't forget the moment when the medical officer goes, when's the last time you think we got a judge here?
Right.
It's a fluke that they're there to begin with.
She just picks it. It's a whim.
Yep.
Exactly, right? And the biggest point is this. Dredd is the main character. Does Dredd have an arc in this film? Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Because he passes Anderson at the end, even though she doesn't by the letter of the law pass. Right? And how bad
the thing is, like, without Anderson, they may have none of that would have happened, because he would have probably picked up the dude and he wouldn't have known that he was involved in those murders. The only reason that they knew that he was involved in the homicides is because Anderson picked that up from his from his mind.
So Anderson should have been failed because she lost her weapon. And what a great scene when Kay blows his fucking arm off. I love that. I was going to
ask you the same thing. Bitch.
I love it, right?
Like, I was wondering, like, do they know that a judge's gun does that?
Apparently
Is
not.
that not common knowledge, or did Anderson like get in his head and like make him forget that?
I don't think
No.
so, because when's the last
No.
time we got a judge here?
Yeah, he's like, I'd always wanted one of these. Like he's seen it and admired it from afar, but maybe
He didn't know there was an idea scan.
Right.
Yeah, it's linked to the gun, which is also in Judge Dredd, by the way. I'm the
Yeah,
law.
it is. And it talks to him and shit too.
Yep.
Yeah. But Dredd is the main character, and that is his arc. His arc is this: coming up against the rogue judges, having found a faith in Anderson, even though by the letter of the rules she doesn't pass, he passes her because he realizes that it's more than the letter of the law to be the law. And you're right, Brooks. He is the one shining example of somebody good in this system.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like I could never imagine Dredd being like a crooked judge.
Right.
Like the contempt he has for the 4 traitor judges is like he just views them as the worst kind of scum.
Yeah.
So it's subtle,
Abuse
but
of power.
Dredd's faith is shaken by the end of this movie. And through that shaking of his faith, he finds a hope in something else, which is humanity, which is empathy, which is care.
Mhm.
And we were robbed of not being able to see this explored. Could you imagine where the next movie was supposed to go? Because these are just laying seeds.
He could still do it. He's still in good shape, man. Like crowd.
Yeah, level 30, she
Done,
could
bro.
still be
It's
around.
like Firefly. Get over it, Steph. It's over. It's never coming back, okay?
No, we can save it.
At least the Snyder cut.
All right, now it's time to rate it. You out there in the chat, out of 5 possible you digs, what do you give Dredd from 2012? And Brooks, kick us off.
5, dude. I love this movie. This movie, like, I mean, I watched it twice, like basically back to back 2 nights in a row, and I loved it both times. It's not, it doesn't overstay its welcome like a lot of movies do these days. It's a pretty tight hour and 30 some minutes, but like it's just so entertaining all the way through. Like I love the soundtrack. It's like this is the kind of movie, like if I was a kid, when I was like watching action movies all the time, this would have probably been my favorite movie of all time. And like I don't know if it'd be like my favorite movie these days, but it's up there.
This movie definitely
It's a
would fit
strong
in
one.
the 80s for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? Like 100%. So a
Yeah.
perfect score from Brooks. Hell yeah. What about you, Steph? What do you think?
I'm gonna have to agree with Brooks. I know it's probably like a 4.5, but my enjoyment level of this movie, like Brooks stated earlier or asked earlier, why can't more action movies be like this? Just the love, the care. They don't have to be so one note. A lot of times we get that with action movies, but there can be more. And this is a shining example of that.
All
So,
right.
so
Another
Perfect
good
score.
example of a movie like that is Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Action
Oh,
movie
bro.
that
Yes.
does that too.
It is awesome. I agree.
All right, Jelani, what about you? We got 2 perfect scores already. Where do you go?
Bruh, come on, man. I was in that poll too. I voted on that poll. It absolutely hurt my heart. It really hurt my heart that this movie did not get a sequel. And I really, I was mad when I first heard about it. I was like, oh man, they didn't make no money. They didn't make enough money to make this work. I'm like, how dare you? And now I know it's just the state of our world, the way we are. Like, it's ultra violent. It's just ultra violent, and not many people are going to take their kids to see rated R ultra violent movie like this. And the visuals are fantastic. The cast is great. I could watch this movie like anytime, absolutely anytime. And I'm mad at myself again that I didn't watch it again, but I am glad I paid to see it again. So I'll give it a 5 too. It's too good. It's such a good, clean, like fast-paced story for me, to where there's slow parts in it, but like the slow parts it's made up for it by like so much awesome. Like there's too much awesome. There's a gunfight that's insane in this movie. And the man using incendiary bullets to kill people with fire. I mean, he blew a guy's head off with a high explosive round.
Hot shot.
It's so clean. The hot shot where he shoots that other guy in the head.
When he shoots the dude with the high explosive round.
Yes. Oh God. It's such clean, just straight killing, man. And Mama is fantastic. And I wish I'd seen it in 3D again.
Oh, that last line, you just reminded me of
Oh.
Mama, where he's like, does the perp have anything to say? And she like lets out the smoke. He's like, noted. Throws her
Yeah.
off the building. So
Noted.
badass.
This person is perfect. I mean, this is too clean of a movie not to give a 5.
He was really
I mean,
banking a lot though on his idea that the signal wouldn't reach that far. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
the movie
It's
should
either
have
that or
ended
they
with
all
just the
die.
whole goddamn place just blows up.
Blows
It's
up.
like the end of the movie.
But it was
Freeze
only
frame.
a certain
Yeah.
level. Yeah. He's like, yeah. Yeah, I love how he's just, yeah. And then he walks away.
That's
Like,
another great
hell
moment
yeah.
when they're in the elevator with Kay, and
Mhm.
Anderson's like, he's thinking about going for your gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just changed his mind. Yeah.
Yeah. It was both a bad idea. It was a bad idea.
I don't want to. Perfect scores across the
I knew
board
you
so
were gonna
far,
do
and I
it.
don't want to be this guy. I'm
Yeah,
just
you're
going to say
this
this.
guy.
Understandable.
Yeah.
4.5 in 3D. For 2D, I'm going to give this movie a 4. So hold on a second. Whoa.
Noted.
No, but it's got a good opening. Then it kind of stunts itself just a little bit, stalls out just a little, just a hair. I would have liked some more satirical elements thrown in from the comics, but for the most part, it's a banging,
Ross
awesome
Schneider.
action
That's what you
movie.
needed.
It's a great action movie, a great comic book adaptation. It's just the tip of the iceberg of what should have been a great franchise that would have kept growing and growing and growing. So I will give it a 4 you digs, 4.5 when I watch it in 3D. We got a 4.5 from Two Gun and a 3.5 from BJ. So a 5 from Brooks,
BJ.
Jelani, and Steph, and a 4, maybe a 4.5 from me if it's in 3D, for a PCP average of 4 point. The law. Anyway. So there you go. Thus
Robbie is not
concludes-
the law. I am the law.
Thus concludes our movie review of Dredd from 2012, the winner of the 2023 PCP Army Audience Choice
winner.
Movie Poll. Luke Meister gives it 5 you digs. All right. Next week, we're in Crew's Choice, y'all. And I'm a member of the crew, and it's my birthday week. Robbie week kicks off at the end of Free Comic Book Day, y'all. So I hope everybody has a great Robbie week and be here next Monday for one of my favorite movies. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and we're going to have a great time next week talking about Repo, the genetic opera.
Oh, nice.
This movie is unlike anything you've ever seen. I promise you that. It is a
It's a
rock
musical
opera
on film.
from the director of Saw 2, 3, and 4, Darren Lynn Bousman. And it's my favorite movie with Paris Hilton in it. I'll tell you that. Like 100%. I love this movie. So I'm very... Brooks, have you seen this one before?
I have not seen it, no.
Aha!
I've watched it twice.
It looks very interesting, though.
I hope you like it.
I
It's
haven't
really
been.
good. And it's got some... I think you'll really like the music for the most part, too. So, yeah. Very excited for that. But do check out Dylan's horror show this week, where he's doing his own Crew's Choice. And Verno has first pick, I believe, in this. And y'all are talking about May
Very
on
fitting.
Saturday night. I've never seen this movie.
I haven't seen it.
And I'm not going to be there Saturday, but I might try to see if I can fit that in this week just to check it out and see what it's about. I've never even heard of it at all. So, yeah. Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts?
I believe we have some Go Figure review stuff coming up. We're doing, shoot, what was it we were doing next?
You're doing your figure. You know what figure you got.
Oh, yeah, we're doing the 3-pack, the X-Men 3-pack.
Well,
Remember
not
that.
the other one.
And
yeah,
we're doing the Anti-Eternia Skeletor.
Yeah,
or
he's
was it
Skeletor.
Skeletor or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
I
that should
haven't
be
committed to
interesting.
that one yet, man. Like, I don't know, man.
It's
I'm
a
just like,
Skeletor.
it's literally just a blue He-Man. Like, I
It's
don't
a
know.
movie,
Man.
man.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's like Mike got it for me, so I'm like, yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Well,
Yeah,
nice.
like
Sounds
it's still in the box. Haven't opened it. Haven't even looked at him yet.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
That
'Cause
should be a
Brooks
fun one.
always tears it up.
Steph, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts?
Always a pleasure. Justice. Just justice.
All right, just justice. Just us. Just us.
Just
You mean
us.
just us? Just us?
Ooh.
Exactly.
Us. Okay.
You doing the Young Justice joke?
Yeah, I'm trying. We're young, but it's just us. Just us, but we're young. Anyway, Jelani, thank you for being here. Final thoughts.
Yeah, check out Go Figure Reviews at Go Figure Reviews on YouTube. We're doing the 3-pack, the final 3-pack for the X-Men. It's Gambit, Banshee, and Psylocke. And we're gonna finish up that beautiful picture of Jim Lee's artwork. Finally, because we did the others before. Hopefully we'll be able to do the Blob coming up soon. We got a few other figures that we're trying to review. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're at 185 subscribers, so we jumped up a little bit more than we did last week. So good times, great oldies. I love Judge Dredd. I love Dredd. I love both of them. I know this for a fact now because after thinking about it for a long time, I merged those two together. One is increasingly campy, but Dredd is absolutely nailing it. It nails it on every level of a comic book movie adaptation should be, and what we're not getting anymore. And it really sucks we don't get movies like this because people don't understand them, and it just really sucks that we don't have this type of cinema now. We should be getting 80 schlock now on this level, like with minor budgets. Like this was like $41 million. It said in the chat. So it was $41 million to make it, or sorry, $45 million to make
45.
it. 41 million and 41 million that it made because nobody wanted to really see it. And I really encourage a lot of people to watch this movie. It is absolutely fantastic, and I hate police, but at the same time, I love this Dredd film, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I might need to be rethinking the Action Fest lineup and see if I can fit Judge Dredd in there. You know what I'm saying? Because like I think at this point we've done so many Stallone movies, we've done Carl Urban Dredd. We we want to. We want to. Be sure to check out Dylan Saturday night, Dylan's Horror Show. They're talking about May. Appropriate because it's May now. Get it? Anyway, next week, join us for our birthday stream. That's right. Repo, the Genetic Opera for Robbie Week. One of my favorite movies. Thank you all for being here. On behalf of everybody here, we are the law. Yeah. And you fought the law and the law won. And yo, Adrian, we did it. We did it. Reuse the one from Let's Go Tell Him the Good News.